Music, for the most part, for all of us, we've all used it. If you work out at all and you're using music or listening to music while you work out, there's a reason why you're doing it.
Having a good playlist is important. It does hype you up. And on top of that, you have AI capability backed in, and it's the perfect time because this AI, it's new for all of us. We are in the beginning. This is the infancy of AI.
And if you're using music, I can tell you, no matter what your history has been with fitness, where you have a tendency to go up and down like most do, you're going to find the use of music, the way that we're stating and the way we're trying to share it with you, will take you to a whole nother place.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Few Network. My name is Coach Stephanie. This is a music fitness podcast, the first podcast that's dedicated entirely to the intersection of music and fitness. This is our very first time recording, guys. Thank you so much for being here and being part of the community. My name is Coach Stephanie, and I have James with us. And today's episode is really going to talk about our history in the Few Network. And I'm going to pass this over to James. James, go ahead and take over.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. As she was saying, the Few Network is a program that exists to provide the fitness community with innovative insights on music fitness with a focus on beats per minute, reps per minute, and tempo-based training. Fitness history has been involved with using music. And again, as we were pointing out, AI and its development in this as far as music production is going to be essential to where we're going with this. And like Stephanie, I too am excited about it because it's good stuff. And we hope to kind of bring you along, educate you into how and why you should be using music, but specifically music speed in your training.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this episode. This is just going to be James and I kind of explaining how I got into it and how James started to cultivate and understand really the importance of beat speed training and how it really is going to change not only instructors' experience with music when they are instructing, but also their clients or their community's experience with their workouts, because it just blows people's minds how quickly progression in their routine is established. I actually want to start off a little bit about people working out in music and what you thought and how that, like, how we are where we are today. Why am I on this podcast with you today,
Yeah.
James? Go ahead.
Well, music, for the most part, for all of us, we've all used it. If you work out at all and you're using music or listening to music while you work out, there's a reason why you're doing it. For those who are using it constantly, a lot of times it could be the thing that kind of takes you away while you're doing a certain activity. That song comes on in the gym or at home, wherever you're doing, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I have much more in me.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. For as long as I've been involved in fitness, I think we all have used music to some extent, most of us at least. And really, what we're talking about is just taking it to another level, especially in the fitness industry. More and more instructors, fitness facilities, and centers, they are going to the use of music and specifically beats per minute. They're incorporating that into the workouts. And again, it's just using music at another level. And what we hope to do, what we will do, is really just share with you just how much more effective it can be for you, and more importantly, how it just can lead to a use that continues. You have your workouts, your days where you're like, I'm just not feeling this. So many of the clients that I've ever been involved with, they're up and down in their fitness journey. They look forward to the beginning of the year because this is the year I'm going to really get on top of it. This is where we always, state, hey, this is what I'm going to do starting January 1st,
Yeah.
and it usually plays out for a few weeks, maybe if you're lucky, a couple months, maybe, but then it fizzles out a lot of time. And if you're using music, I can tell you, no matter what your history has been with fitness, where you have a tendency to go up and down like most do, you're going to find the use of music, the way that we're stating and the way we're trying to share it with you, will take you to a whole nother place. You're going to want to do it more. And more importantly, you'll never do fitness a different way again. This is the way that you'll want to do your fitness from this point forward, especially when you understand the use of music speed in your training.
You're
So,
right.
that's kind of what I'm about, Stephanie. And I will go more into it. What do you think about what I just said?
You know, so, thank you so much for sharing all of that because, like I said, you have like the background and knowledge and have kind of seen where music fitness stalled. I think it's stalled. And what you and your team have been able to do that you really haven't touched on yet is the ability to customize any song to whatever beat per minute range that you want. Give us the ability of control with the reps and the beats per minute in the song because no other platform in fitness or in music literally have given us the opportunity to go in and customize what we want to do with any song that we have, with any song that we
Exactly.
that we want. And on top of that, you have AI capability backed in, and it's the perfect time because this AI, it's new for all of us. We are in the beginning. This is the infancy of AI. And not only have you created a program where we can go in and alternate beats per minute to any song for our own benefit and for the benefit of our clients, you have integrated the AI capability to help us create music brand new that no one's ever
Exactly.
heard.
Exactly.
And we can change that to the beats per minute. Like so much knowledge in music fitness. There's big names in the fitness industry that have been using music fitness. For example, Les Mills is huge on music fitness. She uses all her stuff, all her workouts are per the beat, right? This isn't that. This is beyond that. And I'm super excited for the fitness industry as a whole to be able to utilize this. I'm extremely excited as a coach to have the ability to really customize my playlists to whatever I'm trying to do because and we haven't even gotten into the scientifics of the progress and the endurance that your clients will gain
Ridiculous.
and catapult them into their goals. This is just the beginning. And so there's so much we could talk about in this episode, and we will cover so much of this, I promise you. So you have to stay tuned, guys. This is multi-layered, multifaceted, and this is just the beginning. And so, like, trying to give you guys what the few is in a very quick nutshell won't do grace upon this episode. So we will you're gonna have to stay tuned. We will have guests on the show to help us kind of dissect the beauty of what's going on here and hold space for what's going on here. And I think it's appropriate too for me, James, to tell you thank you for the elbow grease and pulling your sleeves back and digging into making sure that this is accessible to the community because you and I have been talking for over a year now and have been working together for over a year now on this. And now we get to share it with everybody. And I am the type of person who doesn't get behind things that I don't believe in. And to be able to be a part of something that I believe in so profoundly and that I truly believe will make a huge difference and have seen it in my own training make a difference and will continue to see it in my clients of all ranges, all walks of life. You're doing extremely important work, James, and I'm very, very honored to be next to you in this podcast. So that's what I have to say about what you just said. Long-winded, but it's all true. So I'm really excited. I've been training for 16 years now. I'm a coach outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I've worked with music in my own instruction, not with the Few Network, but I've worked with music in my own instruction. And I know that we all hear a song and it does something to our body. You know, we humans are made up of a lot of water. Whenever we have music next to water, we can see the vibrations of that music affecting the water, you know. And so we hear music and it's like it does something to us. Like all of a sudden I'm twerking, all of a sudden I'm like dancing, or all of a sudden I have this burst of energy on my treadmill to do a 30-second sprint. Music affects us profoundly. It's a universal language. I've worked with music with people that have handicaps that might be mute, but they know their favorite song and they
Mhm.
relate to their favorite song. And all of a sudden they're tuned in to what the movements are doing. I personally have had a good amount, moderate amount of experience in music fitness, helping establish a tone or like a motivation, or just to get clients that might not be bought into fitness if all of a sudden I'm playing the song that the middle schoolers are listening to, whatever, right? But in my own training and being exposed to the few and to the reps per minute type of training that you've graciously given me access to, the fitness aspect of it, the endurance, the training, the programming aspect of it blows my mind.
Yeah,
Blows my mind.
and that is all good stuff, and we've only we just started talking about it, but we're only just touching a small part of what this can do and what it will do for individuals. We've covered a lot already, but we've only just touched it, and we really haven't talked about, kind of where and how I got started in this. So I'll go ahead and I'll share a little
Okay.
bit about that, and then I want to hear a little bit more about that from you as well.
Love it.
But this is a good start. As a college student and really actually as a high school student getting ready to go into college, play football, part of my workout involved the use of music, and without dating myself too much, one of the things I used to love to do was listen to the theme song from Rocky. you know, and that would be the thing that energized me. And as far as I knew, it did it for all those athletes that were out there doing something. But even then, I was using music without knowing it. Not necessarily beats per minute, but the actual, music that motivated me at that point, and it got me thinking about, this movie that I saw where this guy came from nothing and took it somewhere athletically. And I said, that's something I think I can do for myself. I can use that kind of energy to get myself to where I want, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, just that alone was able to get me to walk onto a college campus, show my running skills and everything, and got a scholarship just like that. you know, and so I attribute a lot
Yes.
of it starting right then to this journey that I'm on. I'm actually not even finishing, but still in the midst of,
Yeah.
and just it's just from an excitement point. But once I was in college and I was playing football in between seasons or getting ready for the next season to come, music started to become a bigger factor with me. It was things that where I would take workout classes that were music driven. And I noticed that a lot of times they're using music. And at that time, it wasn't so much that they were doing workouts to the music itself, or at least the beat itself, but more just to keep time where they're going to count, like do an exercise routine that incorporates like 10 reps. And they would, no matter where it was in the music, they do 10 reps of something. And then now we're going to do the left side, 10 reps, or something
Mm-hmm.
into that vein. So it wasn't really with the music, but still it worked. And then those, as it evolved a little bit, more and more instructors start saying, like, listen, I got to start using going with the flow of the music more than just 10 reps on everything or whatever they were doing, where it didn't really fall. And what we've learned now is more and more music, most of the music we listen to is a 4/4 count. So it's really advantageous to use a 4 count when you're doing your exercises. And then that's an
Right.
easy transition to the next movement, whatever you're doing. But anyways, just for me, so I don't get off subject too much, for me, that's where it kind of started. After college, I got involved with instructing fitness as well as a lot of other things, and it just took me to a whole nother place in my thought process. Hey, there's more to this, and back then, as you were pointing out, we didn't have control over speed. So whatever song I found, and I liked, I was just, can it work with this particular workout? So I'd find like maybe I have 10 songs that I really love that were part of a playlist. Maybe of that 10, 2 or 3 of them could be used as a specific
Mm-hmm.
activity I'm doing and match it. So, just to make it, kind of give you understanding of what that required is, I'd have to have hundreds of songs to fit one particular exercise where I only
It's
might
a lot of
use like
work.
5 or 10, a lot of work, and it
Any
wasn't like,
instructor that's listening right now could be like, oh my God, yes. Yeah.
yeah, if they know what I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
because not only is it a lot of work, but how long does it last? If you think about it like that, if you take
No.
all the time to put together a playlist, dependent upon the songs that you like, and then find the right beat speed for a particular activity,
Yeah.
and then you've only got that, and let's say it's 10, 20 songs that you can do that. Well, how long is that going to work for you? You know,
Yeah, you'll use it
um,
for a month,
a month,
maybe.
yes, sometimes
Maybe.
less, sometimes more. Some people,
Yeah.
I was at a point where I'd have like 10 different, playlists that I have done over the years, and those are it. And I changed up the order of them just so I could kind of have something with it. But it
Something to,
was it
yeah.
was just yeah, and I'm constantly always on the lookout for the music that'll work for me. And then again, I'm at the point where, well, hopefully this song works for me, but will work for everybody else too,
Yeah.
so that's another part of this that we hope to discuss and help people into a place where they're saying, "Hey, I could do so much more for myself," as far as creating that playlist and having that playlist be constant. Where
Hmm.
I got new music coming all the time. With what we have and what we're going to be presenting to you guys later, you're going to see that you can create a new place just like a playlist just like that.
Yeah.
And every day you can have a new one with new music that you've never heard before, but you like them, so that's great, all different genres and hundreds of songs on each genre. So that's where we're starting from.
I
And
know.
and that
That's
gives
just
you
where we're
kind of, yeah,
starting.
just a start.
I know.
Exactly. I mean, one of our principal, or I guess you could say is kind of our signature workout is what we call our abs nonstop workout. That's the thing that really gets people to a place where they can see that, hey, this music thing, there's something to it.
Hmm.
Using music speed, there's something to it. And that's really what we're going to come to is this is all about music speed. Not necessarily just the song itself. All those things contribute to it, but it's that speed and that beat that you're using, that beat
Hmm.
speed that's going to make all the difference. Because even if you like a song, you like it a whole lot, you can't just use it with anything that you do. I
No.
always see a good example is that if you're walking around a track or you walk it at a beat, and a beat that coincides with a comfortable pace for you. And let's say you do that for a whole week, you run that track, you walk that track or run it or jog it, whatever you're going to do, but to that beat that's comfortable for you, at some point, that will be your regular,
I call it
action
baseline.
baseline. Okay, whatever you want to call it. And
Yeah.
one thing we will do with everyone and through this podcast is be able to kind of share things that we do with maybe different, definitions to it. The hope is to also is come together and get one definition together that we can all relate to. But let's say
Yes.
using what Stephanie says, a baseline, you reach a baseline when you're walking, jogging, or running that track at that beat. And let's say that, following week you want to increase it 2 or 3 beats per minute. You're going to find you're going to be able to do that easily. And over time, that'll become your baseline. You're doing the same thing that you're doing, but now you're doing it faster, same amount of
Hmm.
distance, but faster, which it means your heart is going a little is getting stronger as well. That
Yep.
cardio part of it. And then you increase it. At some point, you do reach a level where you kind of peak, but then that's your mark. That's what you're always trying to target. And that's how subtle it can be. And I was just sharing, this abs nonstop workout. It's something as simple as doing push-ups or sit-ups. Our abs nonstop workout is just sit-ups. But I
Hmm.
guarantee you, everyone who does this using the concepts of music speed, was what we employ, a person that might be hardly able to do 5 nonstop sit-ups within 6 weeks, at minimum, they're going to be doing 300, regardless of their age or fitness level. And that's a fact. That's something that I've done with hundreds of people. You know.
Yes, and what I love about that, and this is what I think a lot of the misconception of health and wellness is that there's these bigger leaps and bounds that have to take place. And as an instructor, I know that that's not true. I know that progress is through small changes over a consistent period of time, right? And so I think that this also gives people a safe place to see that actually come to fruition. And if it works here, then will it work in my squat? Will it work in my thing? Can I add just 2 more pounds, one more rep? Like that is how longevity of strength is established. Small increments of change mastered over a certain amount of time. That's just how it is. And I think it is crazy how people that cannot do 5 nonstop sit-ups in 6 weeks can be doing hundreds, and
Yeah.
it's because we've just changed the slightest thing, almost unnoticeable change in the slightest thing, but our body's job is to adapt to that change. And
And then let's stress this, Stephanie. The change has to do with the music that you're using and
yeah.
how you're using it.
Hmm.
That is the it's small, maybe seeming insignificant to most people. Like, how can music do that? It does. If
It
you do
does.
it, you use it correctly. And
It
that's what it
does.
is. I mean, again, like I'm telling you, regardless of your age, regardless of your fitness level, I mean, regardless of, you know, your body size,
Hmm.
this works for everyone. You're going to get to a place where you can do 300 non-stop sit-ups using music speed. Are you kidding me? Yes. No, I'm not kidding you. Yes, I might be. I know, but I'm not kidding you. You can use music speed will do that for you. And to do something as, sit-ups, who likes to do sit-ups? I never liked to do them. I mean, that was back in the day when I was doing sit-ups. It was like, okay, we did 3 sets of 8, 3 sets of 10, and
Yeah.
that was like, oh man, I got my sit-ups in. Man, we're talking about doing 3 to 8 minutes nonstop,
Straight. Yeah.
straight, not three
20
to,
minutes.
yeah,
I've done
exactly,
I've done 20 minutes nonstop. I have
nonstop.
done 20 minutes. I didn't start
Mhm.
there because I couldn't. Even as a instructor at 16 years of experience, I started where my baseline was, what was comfortable, and then we worked our way up to 20 minutes nonstop.
I've worked with women 50 years of age or more who haven't done fitness for years, get started on this, able to do maybe 5 to 10 sit-ups and
Total.
die. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, 6 weeks, that's not small, but the way it comes about to you is like, wow, each week you find that, man, I could do more. And then you just challenge yourself to do more. Before you know it, you're at this place where I'm going by minutes, not how many I'm doing. I'm going by, like, I can do 5 minutes now, I can do 10, I'll go 20 minutes nonstop.
Yeah.
And you know what? And like you're saying, it works with every fitness activity you can think of.
Hmm.
I can't think of one fitness activity that can't give you those type of results or some profound amount that you would never thought possible. You
I
know,
don't think that it can either because the body's job is to adapt over this based on the stimuli over a certain amount of time. And so if we just apply, I would call that a natural law to the training that you have or the with the beats per minute, the only option is progression. That's it. That's just it.
yeah.
I
It's
love
funny.
that.
If you think about it, a lot of us who do use music right now, let's say you go to the gym and you get on a treadmill for like 20 minutes, that's your thing that you do. And you got this playlist, whether you like it or not, when you're running and you got that playlist, there's songs that come on that you're going to get into. And then there's songs that you just like and you're just running to that. And you have your days when you're going to the gym, you put that same playlist on and you don't perform as well as you did the day before. You can tell because you're just not into it, but you just
Hmm.
do your thing. But imagine having a playlist, everything's at the same beat, the whole beat. As an example, let's say you were going to run at 100 beats per minute, which is may or not. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
say you're going to run at 100 beats per minute, and you're going to stay consistent. So even on the day when you're not feeling it, you're going to keep that. And that's a big plus in what we do. And then getting to the point where, like, hey, I do this pretty naturally now. I'm gonna take it up 5 or 10 BPMs. And then that becomes your baseline, as you say.
Yep. Yep.
So it's, again, this is what it's all about. Now, listen, Stephanie, how about you? Kind of share with us your, music journey, more or less, music fitness
Um,
journey.
my music fitness journey, I've done aqua fitness, I've done small group training, I've done a few things where when there's multiple people, usually when I'm just a one-on-one client, I don't have music on. When it's a group of people, I that's how I started with my music fitness was instructing groups of people was like, okay, I need some music, right? That's kind of where it started for me alongside my own training, having a good playlist is important. It does hype you up and stuff like that. Really, when I started understanding the importance of music with my instruction. It's a two-part situation. Is I coached a 5 a.m. group session. And if anybody's coached a 5 a.m. group session
Yeah.
on
Uh,
Monday, right? People need help. People
yeah.
need help to get motivated. And so
Right.
it was very important for me to make sure like my 5 a.m. session didn't start out with an alarm clock song, like not all like there was like, good morning, we're here, we're doing this, we're doing, and so it needed to kind of give them some love instead of like the afternoon session or the evening session. So I understood like, okay, we need to be gentle here with that. I also had blessing of being able to instruct kids. So adolescents, middle school, high school can be a tough group. And so I was like, I'm going to put my music on. They're not going to want to listen to this. Like, I need to make sure it's relevant to them, something that they like or like didn't expect for me to have on. Right. And this was just throwing music out there and like based off of whatever the artist came up with and put out there. And I also had the blessing of working with kids with disabilities. And their mobility wasn't as accessible to them as able bodied people were, right? And so having on songs that motivated them and had them moving in bodies that are painful to move, so they don't want to move them, or whatever that, their situation is, having music that created and that's the beautiful thing about music is it creates the vibe, it creates the atmosphere, right? And so if I put on music for the kids with disabilities that they liked, it made them feel safe because a lot of us don't feel safe in our bodies if we are in pain, if we're disabled, or not living in a body that feels like it's ours for various reasons, right? And so having music on where I feel safe here because of the music, but I'm also working out was extremely important and crucial for me working with my kids with disabilities. And so that was the beginning of my experience with music as an instructor and as a able-bodied person working out regularly with earbuds in my ear. But then I had come across you, I think, however that magically happened. And I was introduced to beats per minute training and reps per minute training and beat speed. And then the platform that you've created and applying it in my own sit-ups training and understanding my own theory of programming and what I've done and how I've applied my programming with my clients, and then seeing how my own progression based off of just alternating my own reps based off of the beats per minute on your program. I immediately went to my kids with disabilities. A little bit of history about me. My mom is a disabled person. She was born with a disability. She has cerebral palsy. So I grew up with a parent without an able body, you know? And so when I came across what this was doing for me and just thinking about my kids and adults that struggle in their abilities, having a progression that they might not even notice that I'm in control of, where all of a sudden they're going up and down with their arm, because this might not look like a lot to us. This
Mhm.
could be life changing for some people.
Right.
And all of a sudden they were only able to do 8. They didn't know that I changed the beats per minute, right? They're doing 10 and they might not even know it, but I understand that there's progression. And
Mm.
then over X amount of time, their ability literally has changed.
Great example.
It's life changing. What I do for a living, I'm so lucky to be able to do what I do for a living, and I respect my craft, and I respect the honor of working on other people's bodies and having the gift of hoping to help people live in a body that gives them a quality of life is my mission. And this is going to give me an opportunity to give my clients a better quality of life. And whatever form that I can deliver that to my clients in. This has changed how I train. It's going to continue to change how I train, and it will continue to change people's lives. And that's how I am on a podcast with you hosting, because I love this. I believe in it so much. And I can't believe how lucky I am to be able to be in the beginning of this with you, James.
Well,
Seriously.
well, good. I'm glad to have you. And this is, again, I'm looking forward to what we're going to be able to do. I
Yeah.
would like to say this, if, and it's kind of a catchphrase for me is that, once you start training to music speed, you won't train any other way. That's what will happen. It's a great journey to be on, especially as this thing evolves. And again, as we've talked about, we only shared a little fraction
Mm-hmm.
of where this goes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't wait to get into more things that will be helpful to individuals,
Mm-hmm.
and for so many, it'll be the thing that changes their fitness journey into the positive, as opposed to being something that they dread or are so up and down with. More of a natural thing that they'll want to do, and that's a good thing. That's music, though. That's what music
That
does for
is
us, and
that is music.
again, the idea is to share with people how music speed takes you to a whole nother level. And again, educate them as to what's out there. What we
Yeah.
got is great. All right,
Yeah.
Steph. I think that's
Yeah,
it.
yes. I think that we covered a lot for the first for our first episode. I'm noticing the sun is creeping in on me, guys. So
Yeah.
sorry if like if the video is slightly changing every second the sun creeps in. I'll definitely pay more attention to that when we record our next episode. And I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for being a part of our stumbles and our trips and our dusting ourselves off through this episode. It will get much more fluid and a lot more tailored. But I love the authenticity of things like this and the transparency of things like this and being able to show up authentically and that be okay. I think it's important. And so I'm very just thank you all for being here for all of this. And I hope and know you will be here in the future because we have lots of exciting things coming up. I just want to kind of go over what we talked about a little bit in this episode, guys. We really kind of introduced you to James and I a little bit in this episode and the breadcrumbs of the beauty of what's going to be coming out of this is kind of what we went over. I hope you were able to kind of get a little bit of understanding, and I hope you have lots of questions more so than understanding because it's just the first episode of what we are doing, what the Few Network is, what's happening, how this is going to change the fitness industry. And we are going to be here next week. We'll be here weekly every Monday. So stay tuned for our next topic. We also are going to be having guests on, other coaches that are going to give us some insight of their experience, how this has worked for them, tips and tricks that they have that we don't know because we can't do everything. We can't be everywhere. So it's important to bring all walks of life of the Few Network on and share everything because we're all in this together and we're all going to create this together. And so stay tuned for that. That's all I have for my section of this. And James, I'm going to pass it over to you for your section of this.
Again, I'm just going to close it out, though. The idea here, guys, again, as she shared with you, we're going to have a number of other instructors, trainers, and coaches getting involved with us and sharing their perspectives because, I mean, like she was saying, there's just so much to this. There's so much out there that we're only just tapping into, and everybody has their own journeys and things that could be of helpful use to a number of us. So this is good stuff. I'm excited as well. And so I'll end it with this. So what are you waiting for? Start the journey.
All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Bye.